Do you ever feel underconfident in using the APA 6 referencing system? Are you not quite sure where citations should go or what should be included in a reference? Well, today I'm going to cover all the ins and outs of APA 6, including how it works and what you should be using it for. All you need is a copy of this. Let's start with the basics. What is APA 6? APA stands for the American Psychological Association, who have created this particular referencing system. The 6th simply means that we are using the 6th edition of the system. Including references in your assignments is essential. Not only can it help to safeguard you against plagiarism, but it gives credit to other authors whose work you've used. It also highlights the research that you've done to your marker and provides your reader with the means to find the sources that you've used. Finally, you can use it to show how your ideas connect to more established research in the field, which can help you to get better marks. The key thing that you need to know about this referencing system is that it's actually made up of two key parts: citations and references. Every source that you use in your assignment should have a citation and a reference. The two work together to create the full APA 6th reference. However, they do have different jobs. A citation acts as a signal in your work to show your reader every time that you've drawn on the ideas or words of another source. Citations therefore go within the body of your essay and are counted in the word count, so we tend to keep them quite short, as you'll see. A reference provides the full details of the source that you've used. All of your references are placed in a reference list at the end of your assignment, in alphabetical order by the author, so that each text is easy for your reader to find. You get your reference from your source, and then you can get your citation from your reference. So now let's look at each of these separately. So let's say that this is a source that I want to use. I can get some of the information that I need from the cover, but the most useful page to me is in the first few pages of the book, where all of the publication information is printed. But there's a lot of information here, so how do I know what I need? The nice thing about APA references is that almost every reference follows the same pattern. Firstly, the reference must tell us who has produced the information. This might be an individual, a group of people, or it could even be a corporation. Next, we need to know when the information was published. This must be the date of the version of the text that you are using. After this, tell the reader what the text is. This will be its title. And finally, we need to know where the text has come from. So this will be the publication or electronic retrieval information. Now we can go back to our source to construct our reference. So let's start with who. We can easily identify the author of this text. It's right there on the cover. So we can get our who information straight into our reference. Authors' names in references always start with the surname, followed by the initial. Now we need to know our when information. The publication information inside the book tells us this. It tells us that it was published in 2005. So we can add this to our reference, and note that the publication year always goes in brackets. Next, we need the title to answer the what question. Again, this is nice and easy in this case. We can just take the title right from the cover. Because this is a printed book, we're going to put the title in italics. Finally, we need to know our where information. This is where the text was published. We can see that the text was published by a company called Benchmark Books, and that they're based in New York City. So we add this to our reference by putting the location first, followed by the publisher name after a colon. You'll notice that we use a full stop after each part of the reference. Don't forget to include these. The who, when, what, where formula doesn't just apply to printed books. In fact, it works for almost every other type of source that you'll use. Here, you can see how it would work with a government publication like the National Curriculum. In this case, the author is what we call a corporate author rather than an individual, but you can see that the rules apply just the same. Here, we have a newspaper article. For newspapers, the when information is a bit more detailed to help the reader narrow it down. In this case, the where information gives us the name of the newspaper and the page of the article. When dealing with websites, the rules still apply. The difference here is that the where information requires the web address. Just add retrieved from and copy the link from the web page. Now you should be using lots of journal articles, and these references also follow the rules. Here, the what information refers to the title of the article, and the where information refers to the details of the journal it was published in. Use the models in the Handbook for Written Coursework to make sure that you're including the correct who, when, what, and where information for each source that you use. Once you've worked out your references, organise them into a list at the end of your assignment, making sure that they're in alphabetical order by the primary author's name. You must include every text that you cite in your assignment, but do not mention any that you have not cited directly in the text. And that's how to make a reference list. Once you've got your references, it's easy to then format your citations. Remember, citations are the signals within the main body of your essay every time you draw on information or a quotation from another source. In-text citations must always have two key elements, who and when. This will then be enough information to point your reader to the matching entry for that source in your reference list. Now you can see here that there are two different ways of formatting your in-text citations. They can either be written with the author's name integrated as part of the sentence, or the author's name can be placed with the publication year in the brackets. Either method is fine, so long as there's always the who and the when. You may also need to include a page number with your in-text citations. Include a page number if the information that you're citing has come from a specific page in your source, for example, a direct quotation. If you're just summarising ideas from a whole chapter or article, there's no need for a page number with the citation. Often the trickiest part about citations is knowing when to include them. Typically, you should include a citation in the text when you quote directly from a source and when you paraphrase from one. This may apply to factual information such as statistics, but also applies to theories and arguments that have come from other authors. You don't need to cite information that is considered common knowledge. For example, Washington DC is the capital of the United States, or your own arguments. When deciding what to cite, consider how a reader will approach your text. When will they expect to see a citation? You can find much more detailed information on everything I've covered today in the BGU Handbook for Written Coursework. This book will tell you everything from when you should use italics in the title of a source to how you should format your quotations and paraphrases. The best way to use it is to follow the models of each source type when creating your references, and then use these to generate your citations. And that's it. That's all there is to APA 6th referencing. Remember, if you do have any referencing queries, you can always drop us an email at learningdevelopment@bishopg.ac.uk. You can also follow us on Twitter at @bglearndev. And remember, we're still taking video appointments and email appointments, so do get in touch if you want any support.